All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to start off by doing something a little different. I'm going to open up the chat, and I don't know if in the recording you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to open up the chat so you can see how it is to be me reading through some of these questions and seeing how fast they come in. Like when, you have a couple hundred people sending messages at the same time, it turns into a shit show. And I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So, what's up, guys? How are you? What's going on? Don't forget. Let's see, see you guys see some spammers already. So there goes some spammers. Did you guys watch the recording yesterday? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay. Sick. I can't see myself being consistent. I know I'm going to be consistent with the strategy. How can I learn more tricks from FX Alex G with this trading? Douglas. Hi. Alex, can you let us know when we will receive our Rocket 21 challenges? So if you were to have listened to the recordings, when we finished the boot camp, I'm going to send out a form, and in that form, you will then be able to hand pick which one would you want, a challenge or a credit bonus, whatever, to your account. So be patient. Damn, Alex, this is crazy, brother. This is nothing. I'll tell you right now. And then some people are like, you didn't answer my question. Well, sorry. Probably didn't fucking see it. Because your colleague wanted to ask, what color is my Diddy pants 100 times. All right, cool. You guys can see my screen, type one. If not, type two. All right, sick. Perfect. Amazing. All right, so let's go through some of last night's market moves. So we have AUD USD. Turn off the chat. Oh, now you guys want me to turn off the chat, huh? Oh, now you see how it is, right? Oh, thank you for finally understanding. All right, so now that we have AUD USD, we currently are having a little pullback. Haven't filled the wick just yet. Looks like we're getting ready to pretty much do that now. 4 hour is creating what looks like to be a lower high. Again, looks like to be. Let me let me see. Is this a lower high right here? Type one if yes, type two if no. One if yes, two if no. Or I can tell it's like a 70-30. So how in the fuck is this gonna be a lower high? Because if there's a lower high, then there has to be a lower low. So if I were to put this, where would the lower low be? Non-existent. This is the lower high because there is a lower low. You can't put a lower high in the future without a lower low. You can't put a lower low with you can't put a lower high with a lower low from the past. That makes no sense. So this right here is indeed not a lower high. It is a potential lower high. So it looks like that's what it's creating. USD CAD. Can you guys hear me? Yes, amazing. Cool. All right. Then we have USD CAD, which on the daily time frame looks like we are currently creating that wick fill. just doing its thing. 4 hour looks like it's having that retracement. So again, we can almost predict when this pullback is going to stop because of the shift of structure, not because of anything else. The 30-minute is, I guess, definitely bullish. This is the higher low. This is the higher high. And right now it's having a retracement. And while it's having a retracement, you can kind of see how it's starting to like slow down at this area. Kind of tap this area once, twice, and now we're here a third time. And again, this is obviously still creating lower lows and lower highs as it's going down, but it's kind of finding a support zone right here. So it's decently creating that, and the best way to confirm that this is going to keep going to the upside once we have the shift of structure. Now, yes, even though this is the higher low and this is the higher high, what I mean by the shift of structure is just like this bearish pullback within the higher high and the higher low. This is where we would then have the lower high and lower low structure inside of this pullback. And then basically when you have this shift, then here's where this trade should continue to go to the upside. So I'm not the type of person that takes those trades, but if you're in this trade and you can see it happen, it'll give you a little bit more confidence to be able to hold the trade longer. Yo, you guys gotta chill, man. If you don't like the chat, just don't even look at it, exit it out. Would you take that trade for the wick fill? Go watch yesterday's recording. But to answer it shortly, which I don't think I did, the answer is that I don't enter trades in the middle of the move. To me, this is already the middle of the move. This is the trade. This is how I see this market right here. Like the original move that we entered is already done. Literally, it's done. We hit our take profit. We went through it. Now it hit the high, and now it's having a retracement. Yeah, now it could be approaching another area of interest, and sure, we could do that. But then we would have to go out to the daily and then wait for the daily pullback. And if you notice here, there's no retracement on the daily, and the daily does not look clean. The only way that we can actually take this trade would be maybe on the 4 hour. And then that's where we would start applying the day trading strategy with the confluences. And I'm going to teach you guys how to do that on the 30-day post bootcamp. We can't really do that right now. So no, we don't enter the trades in the middle of the move because daily and weekly. Where are we right now? We are at an area of interest? No. We are far away from an area of interest. For us to take the trade, we have to wait for the pullback to the area of interest to then execute the trade, and we don't want that. Next, Euro JPY. Currently, we never had the pullback. Trade hit the take profit perfectly. It is what it is. And then we have Euro AUD. Trade went through the area of interest. Trade broke through the area of interest. And this is a perfect example of me explaining that you could, like, dude, like I could have not gotten any killer examples. So this is where we would have to then wait for the shift of structure. So we notice right here, we have the higher low, higher high. Hold on, guys, give me 1 second. If you guys could hear me, type 1. If not, type 2. Can you guys hear me? All right, bet. Can you guys hear me? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes, you guys can hear. All right, cool. So this is a perfect example how we did have indeed the shift of structure. But when we had the shift of structure, we were above the area of interest. If you guys go watch the recordings of when we were analyzing area of interest, we would only execute a trade or be interested in executing a trade on the trade once we have a shift of structure under the area of interest. So if you notice here, we are clearly above the area of interest and we got the shift of structure here. We cannot take the trade. Why? Because it can use it as support. Perfect example is here. Whenever you're above this area, you tend to go up. Whenever you are under this area, you tend to go down. So this is a trade that is literally how I explained it. And if we were to be interested, we would have to have waited for the break under this area of interest and the retest back in here. Or even have this shift of structure inside of the area of interest. We just had it above the area of interest. And I explained many, many, many times that for us to be interested in this trade, we would have to have waited for the shift of structure under the area of interest, not when we are above it. Again, perfect example of that. Cannot get any better, any simpler. And lastly, Euro USD. Perfect trade. Well, not really perfect trade because this is not like I did not enter this trade. I'm not interested in this trade. Like I told you guys, this is like my last interested trade in the market because we're so low on the weekly. Like I don't really like, and again, this is where like time would have to come in, and this is where Sunday swings and all this shit. Like it's just gonna start making sense. But it's like, let me ask you guys, would it make sense to have a trade? You see this massive move right here, right? But to make a trade, and especially on the weekly, you have this massive move. And it's been going this way for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for 2 months. For 2 months, it's been bearish like this with no retracement. Would you just enter a trade off of a little pullback like this, anticipating that this is going to then create another move like that? The answer is no. It's not very probable. It's not very likely. If you notice, big moves like this require big retracements to then have continuous big moves. Big move, big retracement. Big move, big retracement. Big move, big retracement. Like this is not a fucking retracement. Notice how these retracements all take 2, 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. 1, 2, 3 weeks. This is just 1 week. So I am not in a rush to enter this trade. I'm not in a rush to enter any trade ever. But like big moves that happen in the market, a big move, it has some time of correction before then having the next continuous big move. And the correction takes time. Can't expect for price just to tap it perfectly and then just go whenever you want. So for me, this trade was almost obvious to not take. But again, I don't expect you to know this because you just learned how to execute this strategy. And these are some things that go against the rules because they follow the rules. And I'm teaching you guys to follow them to be successful. And if you do follow them, you will be successful because they just have a probability of making money. But how to lose less money, not make more money. If you notice, you guys got to listen to what I'm saying. With time, and you start correctly executing on it, you're not going to make more money. You're just going to learn how to lose less money. Like you're not going to lose as much because you're going to avoid these type of trades because of something like this. And yes, even though this trade could check out the trading plan to perfection, 120%. Before executing it, you're like, let me take a step back. And when you take a step back, you see this and you're like, dude, this weekly needs 2 more candles before actually having the push. I'll wait for more and this and more of that. That's really all it is. And I can't teach you that because you just learned how to properly execute it, the real trading plan. And then now you have to learn how to go around it. It's gonna take a little bit more time now. The important thing is for you to understand exactly where the market is and how things are going, and then you make a decision off of that. Now, the old timer experiences, that's just old timer time. You can't speed that up. You can't transfer that knowledge that easily. It's just something that you have to learn for yourself. If that makes sense, type one. If not, type two. All right. Hava. Dude, stop with your fucking Indian message shit. Fuck are you, what is that? Oh, you're trying to scam with your WhatsApp. Oh, let me kick you out real quick, brother. Kick you out real quick. Kaya. Cow. Jesus. He left faster than I could fucking kick him out. That cocksucker. Let's make an Indian group chat. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I should have not even said I was gonna kick him out. Oh, dude, I kick people out every fucking Zoom call. Every Zoom call, I kick people out. You should close the chat, brother. I'm just giving you a taste of what I've been dealing with. So then after this, when you say, he didn't answer my question, you know why. All right, cool. I want that cocksucker to come back. Kawaya, fuck you. Huh? Just kicked you out. Kicked him. He came back in with the same name. What a fucking idiot, dude. What a fucking idiot. All right, cool. Like I literally searched it up 10 seconds ago. It popped up. He came back in. Get the fuck out. My area of interest is different to yours. It's normal, brother. All right, cool. All right, if you guys can hear me, type one. If not, type two. All right, perfect. Let me turn off the chat. All right. All right, cool. Oh shit, I clicked the wrong fucking button. We have a lot of students in here today. A lot of OG students join. So I don't know if you guys know, but once you guys are part of the Set and Forget family, like once you guys join the Set and Forget community, you guys will get access, you guys will be able to enter all this kind of shit. Like you guys will be able to enter the boot camps, like I do like little classes, and this is part of what you guys are going to be doing once you guys join the Discord. Well, it's not going to be the Discord anymore. It's going to be a different platform, and it's going to be a lot better. But yeah, I do like we're going to actually start implementing like every other day classes inside of the school community. And then we're gonna also be having like you guys are gonna host your own challenges in there. Like we're gonna set a excuse me, you guys are gonna set a team leader, and once you have your own team leader, then there you're gonna be able to understand if you want to have this type of competition or you want to have this type of competition. Like whoever has the best performing in the community, then they're gonna have their own like competition. They're gonna select their group of traders, and they're gonna go against a different team leader, and whoever wins gets a cash prize and shit like that. We're gonna have a lot of new stuff, and those students like that are inside of the community, they're able to join these calls because like once you're part of the Senate community, that's pretty much forever, right? And it's kind of like the benefit of being part of inside of it. So there's a lot of people that join these calls, and it turns into chaos sometimes. But okay, cool. So we went through all the different markets and the possible different scenarios. Now, this is where we are going to talk about the patterns. So, where did I leave it? Right. So, I know we wanted to talk a little bit about patterns and it make just a little bit more sense because we already understand risk management to perfection. We understand the wick thing trick to perfection. We understand now how the wick fill works. If you guys are in agreement with all of that and all of that makes sense, say yes. If not, say no. Okay. Okay. To me, this is basically yes. Cool. All right. Now that we understand, let's talk about the patterns, right? So something that I like to use a lot is the head and shoulders, right? And I believe I've already spoken about it where I say that the head and shoulders is going to be the actual shift of structure inside of the market move, right? So when we were looking for the head and shoulders, we want it to be like this when it actually shifts the structure. The way this actually looks is going to be something like this. You're going to have the market move to the upside. And then once you're here, you're here, you're here, you are here, 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 and then here. So this is how the market structure actually looks. You're having higher highs and higher lows, and then you shift the structure. You have this as the higher high, and this was your higher low, and then the body closed under, and now you have a lower low, and this becomes your lower high. So all the head and shoulders does is create the shift of structure in a specific way. It's literally showing you that not only is this market shifting of structure, so meaning that it should reverse now and it should go from creating higher highs and higher lows to now shifting to creating lower lows and lower highs. And this is going to be the beauty of the head and shoulders because sometimes you could have the head and shoulders and it does this. And as of right now, this is not a head and shoulders pattern. Yeah, even though it might look perfect because you have the figure of it there, but there's no shift of structure here. This market is still bullish. This is still the higher low, and this is still the higher high. And the head and shoulders is supposed to be a reversal pattern. So if we're going bullish, the head and shoulders is used to be a reversal to then the downside. If we are then bearish, the head and shoulders is used to be a reversal to then the upside. And again, this is put to the bodies of the candlesticks, not the wicks. So this is literally what we are going to be kind of looking for slash not really. And because I personally like to first wait for the shift of structure. Then when we have the shift of structure, then I'm like, oh, cool. Now we have the head and shoulders time frame. And the head and shoulders is just an added confluence because it's just the type of way the market shifts the structure that gives it a higher indication than that. So this right here is really all it's used for. You could only count the head and shoulders when there is a shift of structure. When you either have a shift of structure under this point right here. So when we actually broke under the higher low, or once we have broken through the neckline. So this is the higher low and this is the higher high. This is then the valid head and shoulders once we have body closed under. Once we have body closed under this, then we have officially now created the head and shoulders pattern and most importantly, created the shift of structure. Now this becomes a lower low, and this becomes a lower high. The head and shoulders pattern doesn't mean nothing without the shift of structure. You either get it once you break through the neckline or once you shift the structure. Now, write this down. If you shift the structure, you could enter at the right shoulder for sure. It's not a terrible trade. But now I'm going to write it down. All right. This should be very self-explanatory. If you get the break of structure, which is this right here, you could enter on the right shoulder, but you cannot count it as a head and shoulders. Because how are you going to enter this trade right here once it's, pulled back and then say, yeah, this is a head and shoulders pattern? Well, brother, this does not even have the push. So how can we confirm that this is even a right shoulder? You can't. So you could enter the trade at this shift of structure how we normally would. This would be an area of interest. Cool. But you cannot count it as a head and shoulders because it's clearly not a fucking head and shoulders yet. That's one. And two, if you have the break of the structure, if you break the structure on the break of the neckline, fuck, I can't type sometimes. On the break of the neckline, then you can only enter on the retest of the head and shoulders. So let's say right now you don't get a break of structure right here, and you do get it once we do this. Cool. Well, you could have obviously not entered up here. You can't go to the fucking past and go and enter the trade. So you would then have to wait for the retest. And on this retest is then where you would go and enter the trade here. So if you break the structure, you could enter at the potential right shoulder, but you can't count it as the head and shoulders. If you do break the structure with breaking through the neckline, you can only enter on the retest of the neckline. And a perfect example of this is going to be Euro AUD. Euro AUD did not become a valid head and shoulders, and so we did not break this neckline. This is how this market looked. Looked like this. Up to this point, I don't know about you, but this market is bullish to me. This is the higher low, and this is the higher high. This market is clearly bullish. Now that this market is bullish, we can't do anything. Like, do you even see a head and shoulders there? No, it doesn't really, you can't really see it. Now, when you do something like this, now for some odd reason, you could see it. And it looks almost fucking obvious. Well, that is literally how it works. So now that we broke through the neckline, the only way we can take the trade is when we retest it. So now that we broke through the neckline, the only way we can take the trade is on the retest. If all this makes sense, say yes. If not, say no. Amazing. 98%. Perfect. Now that we understand that, there's another perfect example right here. Take this off. We have here left, head, and once this breaks through the neckline, then this is the confirmed head and shoulders. Look where we entered, retest of the neckline, engulfing, perfect sell. Like it's so fucking beautiful, bro. It's so perfect, dude. Like this is literally another perfect example of entering the head and shoulders on the break and retest of the neckline. Because if I were to show you this trade like this, no day in your fucking life would you say, yeah, that's a head and shoulders. No, this is a higher high and this is a higher low. This right now is bullish. You would never say in a beautiful bullish market like this that this is going to have a shift of structure. No. Do you count that as a head and shoulders right there? Yes or no? Oh, it's man. Oh, a lot of chop necks. Get your fucking necks ready. Start going like this. Start warming it up. Start locating your area on where you're going to execute the chopping of your neck. Take your time. Take your time. Get ready to execute this on your. So whoever said, yes, this is now a right shoulder, chop your neck. 22% of you guys. 78% of you guys are correct. This is not obviously a valid head and shoulders just yet because we have not broken the neckline and there is no shift of structure. You could only, I'm going to type it out. You could only have a valid head and shoulders. Bing. I hate when it does that shit, dude. You can only have a valid head and shoulders when you have a shift of structure. As of right now, no shift of structure, no head and shoulders, because from here, this could use this as support and then go up. And then what? You're going to count this as a shift of structure? No, this is not a shift of structure. Now we got a shift of structure. We wait for the retest to then sell. Retest of the neckline and then sell. Literally as textbook as it gets. Another example of a head and shoulders that did have a shift of structure but never played out. This right here is a left head and then almost created the right shoulder and it never had the move. It had the shift of structure. As you can see, this went from creating lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher low. And we did indeed shift the structure, but the pattern just never worked. That's literally it. You're going to have beautiful patterns like this one, and then they just don't work. And then you're going to have little ugly patterns like this one, left head, and then a big right shoulder, and then it's going to work. It just never comes back and gives you the retest. It's never going to be an exact thing. It's never going to always work. It's just an added confluence. Like it's just another thing to add to the trade that makes it just a little bit better. If all that makes sense, say yes. If not, say no. Perfecto. 99% understand. It's very simple. Next, we have and I hate, what the fuck is this? I hate to use bro, I don't really use these patterns, honestly. Like the double top and the double bottom. I can obviously teach it to you guys, but you're not going to see me use it. I don't like to use it. The market doesn't do it quite often as you would actually imagine. And I just don't think it's as powerful as the Head and Shoulders because it's kind of like a break and retest. Or it's like a shift of structure. Like all this shit is at the end of the day a fucking shift of structure. I want you guys to understand that. Because this market could be bullish heading to the upside. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, equal high, lower low. What is this right here? If you were to see this, there's a shift of structure. This went from creating higher high and higher low to then a lower low. You do the snake trick, then this becomes a lower high. That's literally all a double top is. It's when price creates an equal high and then it breaks through the neckline or breaks through the higher low. Some people like taking the trade here, retesting the neckline and then selling. But how are you going to take a trade retesting a neckline if the structure of the time frame is still bullish? It logically does not make any sense to me. They're going to sell here, it makes no sense. No. Taking a sell here now does make sense because you shifted the structure and then you came back, retested the neckline, and then you sell. That's really all it is. There's nothing else to it. I don't like this pattern. I probably use it not even 1 out of 10 trades. So if you can kind of like eliminate this pattern off of your head, it would be perfect because show me where you see a double top or a double bottom here. Like it's never as clean as a Head and Shoulders. For example, you could call this right here a double top. Okay, didn't play out, which is normal. Where else? Here's a little double top. Didn't really play out. That's normal. Here you have a double bottom. But it's really not perfect. Here you have a double top right here. This one did kind of play out. Basically, your trade is literally right here. So look, I'm just gonna show you guys how it works. So this has a double top. This is the neckline. It obviously shifted the structure because this was bullish. This did create a higher high above it. So it's technically not even a double top, but this would be your trade right here. So when we break it, you see that wick? I can guarantee you that on the 4 hour is then the retest. So you guys can see it right here. Break, retest. That's basically where you're supposed to enter your trade. If you notice, all of it at the end of the day is a different way of looking at a shift of structure. Because if you notice, this went from creating higher low, higher high, to then lower low, retest, and then sell. That's literally it. Like there's no difference in this market right here. Double top is another way of looking at a shift of structure. I personally don't like it. I don't use it. And if I were to have to recommend something to you guys, it would be the same. Only focus on the Head and Shoulders. It's a much cleaner shift of structure. Then next we have the breakouts, and then we have a break and retest. So they're actually both the same fucking shit because they both need each other. The breakout is in a level of consolidation, right, where there is some type of resistance or support. It could literally be vice versa. How much time, how much this for this area? There is no perfect time. There's just multiple tops of a resistance or of a support, and we are clearly struggling to break through that. And what a breakout is when the trade breaks out. That's pretty much it. So you can have a buy position on the engulfing candlestick that breaks out of here, and then you can enter the trade right there and then hope for it to just keep going up. Or you can then do the correct thing, which is going to be the break and retest, which let me delete this right here. which I can almost guarantee you, you guys probably hear me say break and retest more than breakout because I don't like trading breakouts. To me, the breakout is not a confirmation because this could be a, excuse me, this could be a fake out. This could have literally had a fake breakout of the zone and then just come back in and just keep consolidating. So I don't like entering breakouts. I only like entering break and retest, which is when this market would then actually come back, retest the zone, and then we buy. You could enter on the breakout if you want, but you have to remember this is very well, like this has a 70% chance of having a retest because clearly whenever we break through this area, we have to come back and retest it because look how many times we have rejected it. It's clear this area is clearly a magnet to price, and price is very hard to get away from it. So I think it should logically make the most sense to wait for the retest. And on the retest, you enter on the confirmation, on the shift of structure, and on the engulfing. It's the same shit. So I don't ever enter the breakout. The breakout sets me up for the retest. This is my move right here. On this retest is where then I look for them to buy. Because I need confirmation that it's a real breakout, that it's actually retesting here and then it's rejecting it. Perfect example would be this right here. This is a level of support. You could have entered the breakout, but then like always, like 70% of the time, it will come back and then retest it. My trade is on the retest. I don't ever enter the trade on the breakout. Um, I don't know. There's like so many examples on this right here. It's just kind of interesting to like spot one. And at the end of the day, the breakout is basically a trend continuation pattern. Basically, it's like all this shit is just structure. I told you guys at the beginning before we got started, like, bro, this shit is literally just gonna be the same shit, just looking at it in different ways because it's all market structure. Like you have this resist, like we could even use this resistance down here. A level of consolidation, a lot of resistance, a lot of bodies, right? Resistance, breakout, retest, boom. So yeah, you could have entered on this little candlestick once we broke out. You have a limited take profit, but the real trade is on the retest, and then you continue to follow the trend. So the breakout is to confirm and set you up for the retest, pretty much. You don't do anything in between. You simply have to wait for it to do either or. Now you're gonna have times where it happens like this. You have this consolidation zone, right? And when you're in this consolidation, price breaks out. And then we never come back and retest, and then it's gone. Oh well, it is what it is. There's nothing that you can do about it. I can't stress how many times I've missed these trades. You have another one. Yeah, here you have consolidation, right? Whatever. Breakout, then the trade leaves. Did a retest later, but then it's gone. But if you notice, it's like a more important pattern here, which again, it's a very, like this is probably one of the ugliest ones ever. But left, head, and then like a big right shoulder kind of going on, you know? At the end of the day, it is all the same thing, which is a shift of structure, and you're just looking at it in a different format. For me, the one that will always go down and make the most amount of sense is going to be the retest of the breakout, never the actual breakout. If this makes sense, say yes. If not, say no. Amazing. Amazing. Perfecto. That is 97% that understand correctly. that's pretty much it when it comes to patterns, honestly, because truthfully, there's nothing else other than just waiting for the shift of structure. You're just looking at it in a very different way. That's really all I can say about the breakout. For example, right here. And again, there's endless amount of patterns. Resistance, breakout, never came back and retested. Oh well, trade never happened. Here we have a massive head and shoulders. Head and shoulders, shift of structure, never came back and retest. Oh well, kind of did here a little bit, but not clean. Here we have a inverted head and shoulders. Kind of confusing this one, no? Breakout, never retested it. Oh well. That's why you don't just enter a trade just on the head and shoulders pattern. That's why it's an added confluence. This trade right here was beautiful. I remember this trade. Damn, this shit was 2 years ago. Jesus. I was such a bitch. Only got a 1 to 2. Look at me. What a fucking. Wow. What a massive move. Wow. Look at that. Left head, right shoulder. Perfect break through the neckline. Perfect retest of the neckline of the head and shoulders. On the retest of the neckline of the head and shoulders, you are then retesting the previous structure point. And then on that previous structure point, you have a solid area of interest. And then you are also retesting the weekly EMA. And then when you go, I mean, the daily EMA, and then you also have a daily doji in the direction of the trend. What do you have? Then a wick fill. And then you fill that wick. What do you have? Another wick? Another wick fill. Jesus, what a fucking beautiful trade. Jesus. These are the ones that you wait for. And then once you get them, these are the, like, if you wait for this to set itself up, bro, you gotta wait for it to play out. I was such a vagina, dude. I mean, whatever, 2 years ago, right? Cool. If all this makes sense, say yes. If not, say no. Sometimes I don't like going back and looking at the trades. Bro, if I were to be able to categorize somehow and show you guys how much money I have missed in the market. Oh, dude, bro, I have missed so many fucking trades that it's kind of uncomfortable to fathom. Like I'm predicting these moves every week. And I say, like at the point of execution, I go, eh, I don't like it. And it just goes straight into the trade. And you know, okay, I'll go to the next one. I go to the next one, have everything. I'm good. I'll wait for another one. Perfect, straight to take profit. And I say, fuck. All right, fuck it. I'm gonna enter the next one. The next one comes out, boom, straight into stop loss. Like, I cannot stress how many times that should have happened to me. Cool. So now that we talked about patterns and everybody understands, basically all we have from this point forward is literally just practice answering questions and rinse and repeating. Now, before I continue and just practically repeat myself, I want you guys to go watch yesterday's recording. I want you guys to watch the day before's recording, and I want you guys to watch Sunday's swings. Those last three calls, I'm gonna literally tell the team, name them as the golden video because truthfully, it's gonna be very, very, very useful in the future. I'm gonna add that to the set and forget community, like just those three videos in specific. Not now, probably in like a month or something. But bro, it's literally if I were to describe it, it would be everything perfect case scenario. Maybe if you guys are new, you guys are just getting started, you won't realize because you're just getting started. But to have all that in sync at the same time, practically impossible. So, you guys have any questions, any concerns? Do you hold trades over the weekend sometimes? Mr. Alex, you have delivered well so far. Shit. Mr. Alex, you have delivered well so far on our bootcamp classes as a teacher. And this has been fun since it's begun. That's also very important that we have to implant this strategy into your brain. Thank you, Cheryl. How long did it take you to break through? 2.5 years. If it's Friday and you're at take profit one, do you hold or close? I'll probably close. Like that's kind of what I hate about leaving an open-ended question like that. Like sometimes yes, sometimes no. Because then you guys go and find a way for me to answer it. And it's like I just kind of wish sometimes I said just no, I don't hold trades on the weekend. But sometimes I do, you know. That's the only thing I hate about leaving an open-ended question like that. Like when I say sometimes, and you guys will then go and find different ways on how to get the yes or no, which is creative. I think it's cool. Is there a reason why you're using school as the community? I find Discord better for interaction. Yeah, that's the problem, brother. That is literally the problem. Discord is too interactive. It turns into like a fucking big group chat. And this is when are big group chats ever a good thing? Even the family ones. Never. Are you guys gonna get a list of steps? Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna do tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna build out a list of steps. Thank you for spamming the question 100 times. Hey Alex, I have a question. If we have three areas of interest on the weekly, and if the candlestick body is on one of the areas of interest, let's say area of interest one, but also is in the same candle wicks as area of interest two as a rejection, my question for the confidence grade, do we give a grade for both the candlestick being at the area of interest 10%? And also, no. So it's 10% for being there or 10% for rejecting. No difference. Alex, you only count the engulfing candle after the shift of structure. Sam, go watch the recording. How many students are in here from the Set and Forget community? A lot, dude. A lot of them come over. They just like what I do in there. And honestly, I haven't been so active in there as I should, and I look kind of hate it. But the Sunday swings is like what I try and make up as much as I can possible for. When do we have access? When we finish the bootcamp. All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being parts of another day inside of the bootcamp. You guys are seeing how kind of it like did something like this, right? So in terms of challenging, like we start off the boot camp basically like this, and then we just fucking went like this all over the place, and now we are like this again, right? Because I'm just gonna draw it out because I feel like it's more visual. So we started off the boot camp like this, in terms of just craziness. You know, we started going into some shit and then we went into some other, and then we just started going like this, right? And now we've kind of just very quickly came back and now we're just sloping all the way through. So you have to go through the journey. Like we're at the same point where we started, you know, we're not anywhere different. We're on TradingView and we started there. We are using the same platforms, we're using the same markets. So we're at the same point that we started. The only thing that changed in this is that we went through a journey to go how to properly understand everything, to then be able to go back to where we started and correctly execute on everything that we've learned so we continue this journey correctly. Yo, my fucking analogies are crazy. But like there's only so much more that I can teach you guys without it being confusing and me just saying time. Now, there's just more things in your journey that you're gonna go through that you're just gonna have to just like go around or go through it and you're gonna have to learn from it. But they're just like way ahead of your time. They're way ahead of your consistency and how much work are you gonna actually put into it. And sometimes they might not be aggressive, but sometimes you might have some shit like this in your journey. I can't do it. And sometimes you might have some things like this. It's just literally your journey. The hard part, which is this right here, is the most important because if you notice, the high of this importance right here is never going to be as effective as something like this. I don't know if that made any fucking sense, but Alan, Alan, please stop spamming. If the trade meets its projected target, why not wait for this to structure and just put a trading stop loss? Alan, you do whatever the fuck you want, buddy. If you want to do that, you can do that. Why don't I do it? Because the trade is done, brother. You can either close out there or you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Are we going to be doing face-to-face Zooms and Sunday swings? Maybe. Quote of the day. Quote of the day. I don't know. Um, mm, 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 mm. Quote of the day. Oh, and Thanksgiving. That's right. I forgot Thanksgiving is tomorrow. Dude, I didn't even know. Quote of the day is, I don't know, what was that guy's name trying to scam, that Indian scammer? Why you gotta flex on us with the hat? This is a $30 hat, man. It's 30 bucks, bro. Like it's, come on. Kavaya. The quote of the day is Kavaya, you cocksucker. That is the quote of the day. Quote of the day. Now, tomorrow's call, we have Thanksgiving. I don't know if we're gonna, I don't know, I don't know who celebrates Thanksgiving in here. I think it's a big US thing. I'm not sure if it's an international thing. If you guys celebrate Thanksgiving, say yes or say no. I'm just curious, right? It's what I figured. It's literally what I figured. Nah, man, the fuck is that? Dude, I'm Australian. Yeah, it's kind of what I figured. Again, I don't know. I don't know cultures around the world. It's an American thing. I don't give a shit. Okay. Don't need to be offensive, right? I don't even know what the fuck Thanksgiving came from. All I know is that there's a big turkey and we all get together. So it's a 50-50. Some of you guys celebrate it, some of you guys don't. We could have another 7 a.m. class tomorrow. Another 7 a.m. class tomorrow instead of having to push back the class, right? You guys are down for 7 a.m. tomorrow? Say yes if you're down, or say no. Cool. So 7 a.m. tomorrow it is. All right, boys. Make sure to set and forgets. Kawaya, you cocksucker. And I will see you guys tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. See you guys then. And set and forget. Those of you guys that celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Those of you guys that don't,